Classically Trained, Episode 10. Welcome to another episode of the Classically Trained podcast. I'm your host, John D. Harrison, and I want to thank you for tuning in. We've got a great episode today with Hans Van Vliet of 7-Bit Hero. You'll definitely want to hang around and listen to the entire episode. I also want to make sure I take a moment just to thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you listening, and I hope that this content can be of value to you. If you enjoy the show, I would love it if you drop me an email at Jon at classicallytrained.net, or you can stop by classicallytrained.net for more information about connecting with me on social media. I'm on Twitter quite often, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'd appreciate it if you'd let me know what you like best about the show, or if you have some ideas that you would love to see featured or questions you want answered. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into today's interview. My guest today is Hans Van Vliet from 7-Bit Hero. He's the frontman for the bitpop band based out of Brisbane, Australia. The group's music combines chiptune samples, old-school gaming, as well as live instruments to create an experience unlike any other. 7-Bit Hero's played notable shows, including the EB Games Expo and PAX Australia, and their song Come On, Stand Out was nominated at the Q Music Awards for Best Pop Song. Their EP We Eat Loot is available on Bandcamp. Please welcome Hans.
Hello.
Great to connect with you today. I have some questions I'd love to ask you and learn a little bit more about what you are doing. But why don't we start at the beginning? Would you mind sharing with everyone listening what exactly is 7-Bit Hero? What are you all about?
7-Bit Hero is about combining video games and live music together, and we bring that all into one place. So consider it kind of like your favorite soundtrack or a soundtrack, and then as you come to our shows, you get to kind of interact with that soundtrack with other people in the crowd. It's done pretty simply. You just bring along your mobile phone, you install an app, turn that into a little joystick, and then behind us on a huge screen is your avatar will appear when it's invited to, or you join a game, and then you'll compete with or co-op with other people to defeat the common enemy, dodge bullets or do little bits and pieces like that. We grab like little bits of joy like from the Mario era all the way up to more heavier stuff that's a little bit more sad, but we kind of see ourselves as levels in music in games where we're allowed to kind of create any mood we want at any given time, and we don't really need to stick to any genre structure apart from computer games.
I'm just fascinated by this idea and very envious of everyone local to you that's able to enjoy this live.
Yeah.
I'm curious, for you it almost seems like it's a natural fit, the two just go together, but can you talk a little bit about how you made the connection between integrating this in a way that I personally haven't seen done before?
I watch a lot of bands live, and I play a lot of video games, and I've been in a band for a while, so you can kind of see how these things are all on this edge together. I was watching a band play, and I'm very analytical, and I look at things in a very like linear fashion, so you'll have to excuse, because there's a magic in music that's incredible, like I love that. But when I'm watching some bands, sometimes it's just like, look, he's got his foot on the wedge. Oh, look, he just jumped because the music's heavy. And all of a sudden my brain goes into this pattern where it's like, oh, look at his emotional face. It's at that point where it's really emotional. So that's not a great attitude to have, but as I'm watching a lot of shows, I'm seeing that. And I pull out my phone and I engage in a game or I do something. And it's not that I'm being disrespectful. I'm combining these elements together to kind of not waste time and just kind of enjoy the moment. And that's kind of all bridged all together. I've been writing video game music for a while, and I've been writing chiptune music for a very long time. And it's a sound that became super popular, like, years back. And it continues to have a nice underground thing, but I wanted to kind of inject a pop element or a rock element into the way that kind of works with a real band. And then at the same time I'm doing game development, and I decided to create a universe and kind of speak into that universe through these little bits and pieces. So that's kind of how all of that birthed together in one place. And then it's taken years to kind of build the framework, pull it all together. We're still in heavy beta. Some nights it crashes terribly, and we all giggle and just continue to have a great show. and other nights it's a raging success and everyone's playing all the games and it all comes together. But that's what's great about being indie. We don't have to live to any expectation in terms of making sure it counts where it counts. And then while we remain in beta, everything can fall apart because we can just keep yelling at the word beta. Oh my goodness, it's in beta. But we try really hard. Like every show that we put together is a big struggle, late nights, putting it together. But that's what we're passionate about.
I love that word, passionate. It's obvious you have been able to take these hobbies, areas of interest, and areas of, if I say so, some very gifted skill and talent that you have. How important to you is the reasons behind why you do this? Because it's easy to get locked into things that we do, whether it's a day job or even just showing up to a school in our studies. But what's kind of your underlying motivator for getting out there and sharing the messages you do?
Fundamentally at its heart, it's about changing people, or it's realizing that we're exceptional no matter what. Because we get so caught up in the exception. And, we know the exception. If you look in any field, you're like, that guy or that person or that lady, she's amazing. But that's not the reality. That's 1% of the whole of society, probably even less at the exception. So what about the rest of us? And so at the heart of 7-Bit Hero, I just want to celebrate ordinary and make that exceptional, because that's how I actually feel. I know some incredibly exceptional people that are amazing janitors or amazing at doing different bits and pieces in their job, and yet they're not exceptional. I think that's a bit stupid. What we try and do is hug everyone every night through lyrics or through little bits and pieces, and then at the same time we do a lot of empathy gaming and a lot of analogy gaming in what we do. So it's not out there yet, but we've been working on, for each song, we have these huge stories that we tell that help you deal with different ideas. So further down the line, we've got a song called Caring Hurts, and it's about watering a cactus plant, but every time you go to hug it, it hurts you. It's a really simple concept in the fact that caring hurts. It's a really big job, and to do it really well, it's not really rewarding sometimes, because we have prickly friends that don't give us anything back. That's kind of where we're going with it. It's silly and it's funny and it may be really upbeat when you look at it all, but at the end of the day, it's the reality of every situation that you'll face. So that kind of underlines all of what we're about and putting 7-Bit together.
You mentioned the idea of empathy gaming, and I know you touched on the concept a bit there. How do you define that idea, empathy gaming, for those who aren't familiar with the term?
Empathy gaming is the ability to put you in someone else's shoes, and then when you come out of it, you have empathy for that situation, or you have the ability to not judge, not sit there and tell them some really trite advice like, you can do it, the power's within you. That's trite. It's the ability to just sit down with the person and just pat them on the back and be there with them. You don't have to say anything. You can just sit next to them and just be like, yep, this sucks. It's not a great moment. Empathy gaming is the ability to put you in that moment, and there's a lot of empathy games that are kind of kind of coming out at the moment that allow you to experience something of a minority groups or all that other stuff, but it needs to be out there more as an experience for people to understand. And then we can get into questions of whether that really is gaming, because gaming is about fun and escapism, or whether gaming can actually should be able to teach us something. And these are experiences. They don't have to be classified that way.
I think you point out there's amazing opportunity there, because gaming at the end of the day is just another form of media. It's another platform. And it provides a great opportunity for us to communicate either very responsible and meaningful and deep, or we can go for the shallow, and there's a place for both.
Yeah.
But I think we just have a lot of opportunity because, as a whole, from my perspective, gaming is tended towards what's fun and what provides some of that release and escape. But I think there's also tremendous positive value that can be gained from it, at least for me.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's always going to be such a individual by individual thing. And I think when you gain a little bit maturity in life, you may want more out of gaming. But when you're of a younger age, I think you just want the uppers. Like, you just want to be happy about it, and you're just like, yeah, this is great. There's a lot of survival games that are just like huge at the moment, and you look at that is a bunch of people that are desperate for experience and are desperate for emotion and desperate to like make decisions based on something to have consequences and outcome. So that's a really heavy idea, and you've got really young kids engaging with that at the moment because they want more emotion and more something out of it than what's currently happening. So I definitely think that as gaming progresses, it's going to get a little bit more messy in terms of emotional exchange and how that actually feels and how, what's giving and receiving that.
I think emotion's a great thing to talk about because it's kind of like the hidden elephant in the room where it's so key to an important experience, and it can be such a great teacher because at the end of the day, it's our beliefs as much as our feelings that kind of work together to help us decide what we do. One area I noticed there was a lot of emotion. It's how I discovered you. I actually discovered 7-Bit Hero through the Overclock Remix site, and you had posted your absolutely fantastic tribute to Bubble Bobble there, the Bubble Dragon song. Free plug here. If you're listening to this, you got to get out there. And I really recommend the video. You actually had the video up on YouTube. Rather than have me babble about that a bit, I just thought that was an amazing experience to sit down and watch this video, listen to the lyrics, see what was going on. Can you talk a little bit about Bubble Dragon and what you were looking to accomplish through that video and song?
That song was inspired by, recently, one of my a friend of ours and their mother had passed away because she had died from cancer, and the seed of that was kind of planted at the beginning, like when that had kind of gone through that. Then at the same time, it kind of collided with the fact that Bubble Bobble was one of those games that when I was young and I was playing it, it actually helped me escape and cope with stuff going on. So it wasn't directly the issue that I deal with in that situation, but it definitely, because all Bubble Bobble is about addiction. It doesn't matter what it is, whether you're addicted to playing games or addicted to, in this case, substance abuse. It was trying to combine all those kind of elements together. And the beauty of it was as I was kind of going through Bubble Bobble and my idea of a mashup was grabbing different themes of what I loved about it and creating a song structure from it. It was incredible that once I had said, okay, someone's not, and this spoils the ending, but someone's passed away, because it's a crucial reveal at the end. So I'm sorry. He was a ghost all along. So, we've got this, reveal happening. And once I knew that was a narrative, and that two people were kind of dealing with that and turning to addictive means, it was amazing how much iconography in the actual game Bubble Bobble spoke about the other person's existence, like that there were necklaces in there, that there were these little reminders. So it was outstanding how that material could just speak to it. That I found when researching the end boss, he's called Super Drunk, and I just was like, I remember him being called Super Drunk, and then all of a sudden I could make the dad dressed in the same costume with a red cane. And as soon as he enters, it's one of those moments where you're just looking at everything and you're like, no one can write this. This just happens. Mm-hmm. Like, these are those moments where you're just like, this just all comes together for this one moment to be able to say this. And it perfectly executes what 7-Bit Hero is all about. Like, not that we're trying to be all sad about everything, but it's another slice of the reality of life. Like, sometimes it's happy and sometimes it sucks and sometimes it's like that. And then it spoke dearly about how incredible that game was, and it had the ability to ask you the question, like, where's your friend? Like, who's the support system you've got, and can you do this? So in that case, the addiction turns into something that's really proactive, that he goes out and seeks after to confront someone else's addiction from it as well. I remember Bubble Bobble brought me close with situations as I was playing it, and also allowed me to escape, and then ultimately formed a friendship with someone I had no idea would be my friend at the end of the day. So there was a lot of emotional input through that piece.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it translated that way as well when people watched it. I remember showing my wife the first time, and we both teared up right at the end because it held all of the, like, our friend's mother passing away from cancer all the way through like addiction and all this other stuff all hid together at one point. So, and that's great that a piece can do that. You can stand away from it, watch it, and it can have an impact on you after working on it for a short period of time.
Yeah, it packs quite a punch. Like I said, the first time I pulled that up, I was unprepared.
Yeah.
There was no disclaimer. I jumped into it, and I'm following along, I'm watching, and then I'm connecting the dots as they're connecting on screen. I'm like, wow, this is genius. And then the last scene takes place, and it just I just kind of sat there speechless for a minute. And I'm like, whoa, that was heavy, but it ends up positive, too.
Yeah.
And I think it was masterful storytelling. And I really applaud your effort in doing something that I believe is very helpful and meaningful to others as well.
Oh, thank you kindly.
So, well, let's switch gears a little bit. It got a little heavy for a moment. I would like to ask you personally, as another professional, what is an idea or a habit that for you has contributed to your success? Because I look at a product like this, and it's something that, as you're describing your work through it, this sort of thing takes intention. It takes some discipline, it takes some talent and some focus. What are some ideas that have worked for you to help you in your professional life as you seek out expressing yourself?
Yeah. Like, there's a few factors. One of them is I'm a perfectionist, so that's really complicated. So I would say get someone, like for me it's my wife, or someone in your life that says that actually what you've done is good enough. So with something like Bubble Bobble, I probably could have tweaked it for months before releasing it, but it was good enough. The other things is just having, like for me it's a schedule, like it's getting up at a certain time, and I do my best work in the first couple of hours in the morning before actually everyone's up, and then just kind of gaining focus through that. So whether that be like, just gaining a focus, and for me that's a connection with creation, or just sitting outside and just being like, man, this world is incredible, and just having that ability to do that. So I definitely like meditation and all those things that kind of bring you to that grounded point, a really important part of being able to do this. The other thing is a constant reminder that people work harder and better, and they're more amazing than you'll ever be, and that's okay. And just having that as just a realization over the top of it, just keeps it all really grounded for me, because some people don't release stuff, and I tend to think that talent and passion work hand in hand. So when you keep repeating something, you become more talented at it. So you're going to suck the first time you do it. The third, even with what we're doing, we're about to release a single player game, and bringing all these elements together is going to be okay. It's not going to be amazing. It's going to work and function, and some people will get it, others won't. But it's constantly doing it over and over again. We'll have the ability, once we've created the characters and pulled all that together, to just do it again, and perfect it, and maybe one of the 10 or one of the 20 will just hit right. So that's how I view things, as this very long but beautiful process. And in the meantime, like you said, I'm so amazed that you've beautifully been affected by what Bubble Dragon was, and that's great to me, because that's why you put that art out there.
It's interesting you mentioned this idea of perfectionism. I'm still recovering from that particular affliction, as it is. It sounds like you got a good workaround with that support system there with your wife, and others can help. What are some of the other challenges you faced, and how have you overcome these, or how are you working through overcoming some of your challenges today?
Like the challenges that we kind of face, because like the setup for what we do, there's 3 of us in the band, and I'm kind of the guy that coordinates and brings all the music and shows it to the guys. So there's that aspect. Then when we develop the games, there's only 2 of us. It's me and this other guy that does much more intelligent code than I could ever execute. So the challenges are all time. Like it really is. It's just finding the time to actually do it, and to overcome it. It's a lot of negotiating and talking with our partners and just saying, hey, is it possible that this weekend this could happen, or we could do this? And bring that together. That's what happened today. Like, it was an opportunity for me and my coder to get together and actually work out some systems and work out some new understandings as we roll out version 2 of the multiplayer. For us, it really is to overcome these obstacles. It's asking the questions of the people that love us. It's asking our partners and wives and saying, hey, can you allow us the time to do this? And so there's no real other obstacles that we face. Like, we have day jobs. Like, I work 9 to 5, and it's on other things. And so you can imagine the discipline involved with trying to stay focused and pull this off. And if it wasn't for our partners and for our support system and our wives around us, I don't think it would be possible to do that.
It sounds like a big key to keeping the balance there. That partnership is crucial.
Oh, it is. It's like, without it, like, there's no balance. What's it worth to get to the end of it and realize that it's full of regret? Because you've ruined relationships or ruined everything else. So you want to make sure that all of it's happening. And, I'm a big believer of, if it's meant to happen, it will happen. So any interruptions, great. It doesn't matter, because that's a part of the process. So,
Sure.
Someone needs your time, then give it to them.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, as soon as you say it, I know that resonates, and I know it to be true. But we also know there are some of those moments where we're so task focused.
Yeah.
We're so chomping at the bit, looking at the goal, and we're out there doing our 9 to 5. For some of us, we're chasing side projects and dreams at the same time. So I think that's all really good insight that you've offered there. What about other people? What are some other individuals out there that are doing things that you're interested in?
At the moment, I've been following Mr. Carmack a little too closely of recent. He is a workaholic and a machine, so I don't know what it is about his ethics or his ability to just have some self-discipline. So for those who don't know, Carmack is involved with the Ed Engine, capable of doing some incredible stuff, created the whole incredible lighting system that made Doom more scary with or without a flashlight, and then moves on to the Ed Engine, and now is behind Oculus Rift. So he deals with direct hardware to software kind of stuff, and how machines communicate back and forward, and dealing with latency issues. So he is an incredible guy. So in terms of bringing all that together, he's one of those people that immediately comes to mind in the computer game space that is really disciplined and just has the ability to kind of crunch all that stuff together. The other person I find really inspiring, and it's kind of a little bit off from that, I really like Pendleton Ward and David O'Reilly. So Pendleton Ward is behind Adventure Time, and David O'Reilly is behind some very controversial short films that bring together childish mentality and kind of butts them against adult situations. So it's very viewer discretion kind of setups in some of it, but he's an artist, a true artist. He just released Mountain on iOS, so it's a mountain simulator that you play, and you kind of just watch as it kind of all unfolds, and uses some logic to kind of resolve that out. But both those guys I find very inspiring, because Pendleton Ward has the ability to bring the computer gaming culture into just normal life, and 7-Bit Hero, it's very inspired by that whole mentality about what he has. I think when I had started 7-Bit Hero, someone said, "Oh, you should watch Adventure Time," and before you knew it, I was watching Adventure Time going, "This is what I wanted to, this is incredible, this is great." And then, David O'Reilly's just an artist, like, just releases stuff and it makes you think about what's going on. I'm hoping that 7-Bit Hero sits in that kind of Pixar meets Pendleton Ward and David O'Reilly, and makes you, it's a little bit, it gets you off your seat, makes you think a little bit, but at the same time, on another level, you can just laugh and have fun.
That's a beautiful combination. So I kind of want to launch that. You touched on some of this earlier and answered, in some ways, this question, but my big curiosity question is, what have you learned from video games?
Well, I will say this, that making video games is a whole other... I think in making video games it's taught me more than anything. I think it's one of the hardest. Like, I've been involved with a lot of film and television and all that, bits and pieces, but there's something about video games that's like, it's so big. There's so many aspects to the way that it works. So that has taught me a lot of patience, and I think video gaming has taught me that I'm wrong. So when you hand it to someone and you want them to engage with what you're doing, you're never right, because how the user feels is 100% correct, and you were the person that laid out that story arc or put it together that way. And if they turn around and they're just like, I don't get it, like, I don't understand what this does and what this button does, then you're wrong, and you cannot sit there explaining to them, don't you get it? Like, you're stupid. The exit button's over here for a reason. So it's also taught me that that I'm wrong. Be patient, and I'm always wrong. Which isn't too amazing life lessons. Yeah. But then if I look at, like, back in my childhood, it's also caused a lot of friendship, like great friendship, through. So, you know, during those times, video games helped me escape from issues going on around me. And then during that, you had the ability to be in that situation with someone else. And somehow it was really just like therapy, I guess, without talking. It was just like, you're just like playing a video game next to someone, and, you know, you're able to, I don't know, just, I guess that's empathy, where you're just sitting next to someone and experiencing something together, and then you kind of don't have to talk or speak about it because it's kind of dealing with it at the same time.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate your time today, and I want to just ask, what is the best way for people to stay connected to all the great things you guys are doing?
Best way is just catch us online, so 7bithero.com, and then sign up to our newsletter, which we rarely post out to. And then the other is just, you know, Facebook and Twitter is really great. When I'm not active on it, it's because we're really busy. Remember, there's like, it's kind of me and a bunch of guys kind of trying to bring this together. They're the best means in which to kind of communicate with us, and we'll get back to you. If it takes a day to get back to us, it literally just takes takes a day to break out of what we're doing and say hello.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this opportunity to chat with you today, and I wish you and the rest of the group the greatest of success in all your endeavors.
Thanks, John.